Hey everyone, this is Alicia Cummings, and I am on my joyous journey. Quickly, what I want to talk about. I want to talk about some of the things that I had to go through when I was a teenager. Um, some things I will omit because it would hurt other people or something, or I definitely can't handle talking about it. But a lot of people, really have been saying things that a hoe or something like that or whatever. When I think back, and at least I'm not wild like I used to be. It's been about 20 years, I bet maybe 19 years, 20 years before I was not actually in a relationship. Sometimes I was in a relationship. Other times I'm just like, was kind of lost in the sauce. But talking about when I was 13, I lost my virginity to a boy in a neighborhood that wasn't my neighborhood. It was my great grandmother's neighborhood, and he really did me dirty. You know, that one time made me just not do anything. I didn't do anything until I was 15. Like everything was happening to me at the age of 15. Um, where, I was, drinking uh excessively. Um, it were older men. I'm talking about like grown men, like almost 30 years old, trying to be with me, you know, um, to you know, uh, manipulate me. And you know what? Back then, when I was growing up, though, it was a lot of guys that were older trying to talk to young girls or young women. You know, not to saw anybody. We were a bit more mature, but still not really. I wasn't really ready for any of the things that I had to go through when I was a teenager. It was some super grown up stuff, and I'm just like, when I think about it, I just really like, I can't say how could you be so stupid. I was really having some mental health issues and didn't even know it. Nobody else knew it, not even my mother, And she would take me to like counselors and psychiatrists and they'll say there's nothing wrong with her, or when I had, an uncle that always checked up on me, see what I'm, what I'm doing, how I'm doing. And, he was basically my mental health check, when we didn't even know nothing about that then, you know, um, getting up from 15 and up until like 17, 18, I'm just like wilding, but not so much, or whatnot, but just, you know, looking for love in all the wrong places. I did that for a long time, even to my well into adult years without even realizing that, okay, a lot of the time I was boy crazy. It's like, why is she telling us this? Look, I'm just like, I know that there is some girls out there that are feeling bad about themselves for things that are done or were done to them, you know, um, even, I mean, some guys, they don't get their way, they will drug you, okay, get you drunk and slip you something, you know, and that was hard for me to deal with. I had forgotten about a lot of it because I guess my memory just could not. I guess I just couldn't handle, you know. what was actually being done to me because I said no, you know, and and just not being with anyone. Nobody really was with me. I had friends. They always ask, "Oh, you got a friend?" You got a friend. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got a friend for my friend or stuff like that. You know, that became when I got older. You know, just the same old crap. Or whatever. But I'm focusing on my mental health, where my cousin, that was my everything with my cousin. I call her, she said I call her, and I'm like, cuz I don't know where I'm at. I had to describe where I'm at, where street I'm at, where I'm at. I'm calling on the payphone. Can you come get me? Cause it'll be like 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. Cause I done walked away from somebody or got away from somebody that was trying to do things to me, and I mean really I've been through a lot, and um and a lot of things I just can't remember, I don't know why people think that they could just take advantage of someone and not pay consequences for it. I mean, even if, I called the police or whatnot, I didn't even remember where I was at times. I didn't remember where I was. Um, my cousin would have to come get me. And she said that wasn't the only time, cuz it was other times. And, I don't know how I forgot, or what type of things. A lot of good things I can remember. A lot of bad things that were like, so pretty traumatic at times too. I remember those, Um, I may not go detail for detail, but I do remember a lot of things, guys. I could be walking past somebody and they remember me or something, and you know, they may have done something to me, and I know I sound like kind of crazy or whatever. I'm just simply trying to recollect there. Like when someone mentioned that I was theirs, a particular someone, you know, and I knew that I was theirs, but I didn't because I didn't understand. I didn't understand that, if you're cheating on me, that I'm supposed to wait. I didn't think that that was fair, and it really isn't. I don't know, I mean, I was raised in the hood, but I wasn't hood, so I really don't know I'm not street, you know. I learned a lot. I learned a lot over the years, streetwise. It made me a lot more street smart, but I'm not. And I didn't grow up in, where I had friends where somebody could tell me what this or that is. And, I wasn't raised in a household that way, you know. But a lot of things that happened to me was not my fault. Matter of fact, not everything was my fault. Okay, so when I think about this person that I care so deeply about, and that it seems like, oh, I got the vapors or something. And that's a song by Biz Markie. I got the vapors. You catch that song. You know what I'm saying? That it wasn't that, so many years later. It's the simple fact that I just didn't know. I didn't know. And, I want to talk to him and be able to tell him, but it just wouldn't be, right for me to call, and take that step to, I could take accountability for things that, were my actions. And a lot of times, like you being around certain people, you don't know, like you don't need to be around them, especially not by yourself or like at a house or their house or your, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, if that's somebody you know very well and you trust them, that's good. But it's not good to just kick it with people. And people is a vast, broad spectrum of, you don't know them. And things can happen. That's what I could say. I could take accountability because I was with people I didn't know. And I wasn't taught that. I wasn't taught about um, the birds and the bees when I was growing up. I was not taught. So I had to learn a lot of things the hard way, but I definitely put God first. And I just like I feel some sort of way right now because I've said all this, Um, just know that, no if nobody knows what you're going through or what you went through, they don't have no right to call you out your name or to try to judge you because nobody's perfect. Nobody but God. So it's like, don't beat yourself up about things that you have done or that have done to you. Just stop and reevaluate. A good thing is for me just to have therapy. Have somebody to talk to, a mentor, a life coach. And talk about what's going on with you. Just be honest. And then the best counselor is the Lord. You know, cry out to Him and pray. And give your all to Him. He will see you through. You know, and everything don't happen on our time. It can happen on. It's gonna happen on God's time, and anytime it's gonna happen on God's time. But like I said, therapy, therapist, life coach, or mentor. Start off with one of those. Well, y'all have a blessed night. I'm a little tired. So I want to be falling asleep. Some of my videos, I'm falling asleep. On my last video, I did not own the rights to that song. I was singing Marvin Sapp. Never would have made it on the last video. And I want to say that. I could probably put that in the description as well. Thank you. Well, y'all have a good night, and I love you, and be strong, and take care of yourself. Good night.